Alright guys, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be Bretonnia, led by Plague Penguin, facing off against the Ogre Kingdoms, who shall be helmed by Anticity, here on an absolute shooting gallery of a map. This map is really good for like cannons, iron blasters, those sort of things for sure. So we're going to see how it does. The Kraken King has, of course, brought an Iron Blaster, which I think is pretty good against Bretonnia. As like a nice carry piece to sit in your backfield and just blast the Bretonnian Knights in single entities. It's really good, especially if you can defend it with like Pigback Riders and your big Ogre Cav. The Ogre Cav, like the Mournfang Cav, as well as the Crushers, are so good against Bretonnia, because most of the Bretonnian baseline Cav, like Knights of the Realm, Knights Errant, things like that, they do lack armor piercing, so they can struggle with those big boys. But yeah, here we are. So we got the Iron Blaster, a Fire Belly as well, which is good. Bretonnia presents massive hordes of lightly armored infantry like spearmen and men-at-arms with polearms and peasant archers, so the Fire Belly is a very good pick, especially if you're going to be going with a very off-meta pick. Love it from the chat Anticity here. We do have Golg. So this bad boy can heal himself, so you don't need the healing as much. Like Anticity's build isn't a build that like demands healing super hard. I mean, the Sky Striders definitely do, but you have the Meat Feast for that, which is the Ogre Army ability, so not going to be without heals. Now, what does he do? He's able to fight the Bretonnian Lords probably okay. His sniping ability isn't bad. And yeah, we'll see how he does. Rest of the army is going to be Pigbacks, Ogre Bulls, and a single Lead Belcher. And for the glorious Bretonnian legions here, Plague Penguin, Bretonnia is certainly going through a renaissance right now as well. We've been seeing them do very well between Anticity playing them, Charix winning tournaments, Anticity winning tourneys. Plague Penguin has also won Bretonnian tournaments in the past. Like he was playing Bretonnia before it was hip and cool to play them. And he was winning tournaments in the past couple seasons with Bretonnia as well, was Plague Penguin. Very cool stuff. So yeah, Spearmen at Arms backed up by Halberds, Archers, and the Deep Reserve. And we do also have a Grail Guardian. So you can see the Grail Guardians are going to be using the one piece of cover on the entire map to hide. And they'll come out later. Now, interesting choice of Grail Guardians versus Grail Knights. You'd think that the Grail Knights would be better because of the anti-large bonus, but maybe these guys are just there to kind of be more sustainable against like Noblars as well as the bigger targets, because they still have good armor piercing and good stats. It's going to be very interesting. So out of the gates here, we do see the Lead Belchers coming in and unleashing a hellish salvo of firepower on the peasant mobs. They're coming forward with their rakes and their shovels, and not going to be great for them. Yeah, they're going to get blasted. I would imagine the Lead Belchers will switch to a bit of a more optimal target here, and they do. So starting to shoot into the Spearmen, and the best target for Lead Belchers or any sort of like Hawk and Long Rifle equivalent shooting, Ushapti Great Bows, that sort of thing, is going to be shooting at Bretonnian Cav. Alberic also got nailed a bit. He's already down 1,000 HP. And it looks like he's going to be moving in and trying to do some glorious work against the old Iron Blaster, which is a good call. You know, he is an anti-large fighter, hits pretty hard, and does make contact with the Iron Blaster, chipping a little bit of HP away. And now he's going to get back up in the skies and maybe consider diving back in. We're going to have to see how that all goes. So Knights Errant, Lance is couched for the lady, moving in, and they do get a charge into the Ogre Bulls. And what's really badass about this, for anybody who's a bit newer to the game, is Alberic does have an item called the Braids of Borderlow, and that gives nearby units anti-large. So they're going to be good against monsters, things, and whatnot. So the Knights Errant normally don't have anti-large, but now they do. And you can see it makes a huge difference. I mean, they're crushing these Ogre Bulls. So really nice tech right there. On the other side, Sky Strider is going to be moving in and taking one of the most lopsided fights I've seen in a while. Peasant mobs versus literally like a 2,300 gold cav unit. Pretty nasty stuff. So Knights of the Realm coming out to intercept. Peasant Archer is going to be putting a little bit of fire down and trying to mitigate that situation. So both sides trading back and forth pretty evenly. Anticity maybe has gotten a little bit more value overall, but it's not the end of the world. The Bretonnians do have healing. Obviously, the Ogre army doesn't have as much healing, so it's going to be tricky for them. But the Knights of the Realm do get mismicroed, and the Kraken King able to heavily punish this, moving in with his glorious Sky Striders, and Lead Belchers with some friendly fire there was always fun. But the firepower from downtown from the Lead Belchers, very good stuff. Able to melt those Knights of the Realm, and that's going to hurt. But on that same coin, we do see the Ogre Kingdom's caster here, the Fire Belly, get a little bit overextended and get surrounded here. But he is going to be responding with a Burning Head, which is going to be cooking a lot of these units. But if Alberic can get the kill with his Knights Errant on top of the Fire Belly there, that's going to be chef's kiss. That's going to be very nice. On the outside, we do have another messy fight. It is going to be the Grail Guardians versus the Sky Striders. Sky Striders take that fight easy. They'll take a little bit of damage in the process, but and Grail Guardians do have super high melee defense, so they'll hold for a minute. But Sky Striders are like a dedicated anti-large fighter. They're going to have a much better time. And did the Fire Belly escape? Let's find out. Fire Belly is going to get away here, so that's really bad for Bretonnia if they can't get that pick. Alberic, in the meantime, jumps over to the other side, and he is going to be providing anti-large, Earthblood, and Regrowth going down to the Giga Chad Grail Guardians. That's going to make them super hard to kill with the Vigor and the massive amount of healing. And plus Alberic giving them bonus versus large. Oh, maybe that's the tech. Because they're more of a generalist cav, and then you bring Alberic to grant them the bonus versus large, right? Lead Belcher's doing nasty work. Pretty much this entire game, Anticity's had these Lead Belchers online, and you can see they're teeing off, they're shooting downtown, Getting beautiful shots into the Knights Errant here, but there is a lot of bodies on the battlefield. Like for Bretonnia, if we look around, they do have like a million freaking spears and peasants and halberds still to grind through, so that could be a little bit tricky. And now we do see some Knights of the Realm coming from the far side, so they did come from around here, and they were able to get on top of the Leadbelchers. And honestly, this is a game-changing play. Shutting down the Leadbelchers is going to give the Bretonnians so much freedom for their cav, because the Leadbelchers are the hard counter against most of the Bretonnian cav units, aside from, of course, the Sky Striders and some of the other tech they have. They're the big problem. So the Knights do get on top here. You can see the Leadbelchers are getting crushed. A couple Pigback Riders and Ogre Bulls on their way up. But that's going to be a very, very nice pick right there. Now Bretonnia is starting to get back in the grind a little bit here. They do get some Men-at-Arms with Polearms and a Grail Relique in here. So this sustained halberd fighting is going to be very cost effective. But the Ogres also have their chaff buffering as well. We do see some of the Nobblars, not Nobblars, but the Pigback Riders in here, of course, coming off some pretty heavy nerfs. Still a very, very good unit. Incredibly strong. So Alberic, the Duke of Borderlow, going to be landing here and preparing to do glorious battle with the Mournfang Cav, so going to be trying their best. And looking around, we do see the Peasant Archers shooting pretty comfortably, and some Knights Errant coming into combat here, and Golg lurking in the backfield. He is going to be intercepting those units as more Knights of the Realm are called out here. And oh man, if they're able to get the both Leadbelchers offline, that's going to be pretty fat. Yeah, man. Anticity, I think, maybe made a slight blunder by not sending his Sky Striders to go shut down the Leadbelchers back here, or to protect the Leadbelchers. Because that one Knight of the Realm unit actually able to kill both Leadbelcher units, which is 100% going to get Bretonnia back in the game. They're only down by 1,400 value. Alberic is almost dead, mind you, but you know, so much healing in the Bretonnian roster. They've gotten a lot of healing, so the value right now is probably actually kind of close. But that is a sweet Burning Head coming in from Anticity. Beautiful play. He's one of the best players in the game at like wind spells and stuff. He gets some of the nastiest wins I've ever seen. Like watching him use like Winds of Death and things like that. I think it's also like, maybe it's because, like, a campaign thing, right? Like, he plays a lot of campaign, too, or he has, like, streamed it in the past. Maybe, like, there is some forbidden tech to be learned. Like, campaign teaches you for sure how to get really good wind spells. Like, lining up against those AI blobs and all that stuff. Kind of fun to see. So here we do get Alberic. He's pushing back the Iron Blaster. The return of the Duke. And here on Objective 1, we do see it being owned by Bretonnia. Objective 2, pretty firmly controlled by Bretonnia as well. And the Ogres are kind of looking a little bit forced back. A lot of the game started to go downhill when Alberic survived several of the Alpha Strikes. And on top of that, the two Leadbelcher units getting taken out by that one Knight of the Realm, I think was maybe enough to get them back in the game. So is there going to be any chance here for the Chungus Kingdoms? I love the off-meta build from Anticity, by the way. Super cool. You know, Golg is not meta at all. He's very, very off-meta. Typically, you just see like a Slaughtermaster with like Troll Guts and you know, healing, all these, like a Thunder Tusk. Thunder Tusks are incredibly oppressive here, too, I think, if protected and supported properly. But yeah, very cool, neat build here. Iron Blasters, a fresh one has been summoned in, so it looks like Anticity did bring two. One of the Iron Blasters does get caught and is probably going to be taken down, if not shattered off the battlefield. Currently, it is broken, sitting at 601 HP. But yeah, Knights of the Realm are hot on the case here, 400 HP. Far side objective being taken by Bretonnia as well. And ladies and gentlemen, we may be seeing the end of the game here, and perhaps a victory for the glorious sons and daughter of Bretonnia. We do have one damsel in the battlefield as well. So Bretonnia obviously does bring the ladies to the action, but typically they are in a caster/wizard role. Yeah, is that kind of a lore thing with Bretonnia? Because obviously the Empire has mages of all genders, right? But yeah, I think that yeah, in Vermintide the fire mage, the Bright Wizard, is actually a lady, I think, right? Yeah, but Bretonnia, I think, always has damsels, right? I don't think there's any dudes who are casters in the lands of Bretonnia. In the backfield, we got Questing Knights moving back here, and they are on the hunt. They're going to be trying to shut down the Iron Blaster, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Anticity tap out. He's basically tabled here on the field. Alberic has survived. Golg is heavily surrounded, and you can see getting chopped up by those Knights of the Realm pretty good. Iron Blaster coming back in. Is there any chance for a scrap back here? I just don't think so, because Bretonnia is just going to be able to swarm the battlefield. And Plague Penguin's up. Yeah, he's up 2,000 value with healing taken into account. That's just going to be too much. Golg does manage to escape. And is that a Thunder Tusk? Oh yeah, the Forbidden Thunder Tusk was in reserve. Or no, a Hunter on a Stonehorn. Interesting. Not bad though. It does have an anti-large missile. I mean, for sniping Bretonnian Cav, not bad. I still think Thunder Tusks are way better with their snowball attack because it's kind of good against everything. But Burning Head going down from the Kraken King right there on those guys. And now we get the Thunder Tusk moving up. Alberic running to the backside of the battlefield is very smart. Epic Questing Knights running through the fire and the flames, getting ready to jump in there and try and shut down the old Hunter. Not shut it down, but occupy it for a period of time. 1,000 points now on the board here. Ogre Kingdom's going to be moving up. Anticity scrapping to the bitter end here. Knights Errant moving in. Alberic does get popped out of the sky, though. He gets just sniped by the Iron Blaster. Oh, my God. And Golg as well probably uses Pistol Shot. I don't know if we saw that, but Yeah, I still think even with Alberic dying, yeah, we get a fresh unit of Grail Knights coming in. I love it. Heavy metal. The elite Knights of Bretonnia are going to be avenging their fallen Duke. And they do move in and start to get some good attacks on the Hunter. A lot of HP hemorrhaging there. Grail Knights do have very, very good AP values and are going to be incredibly tough to remove here. Looking at the other objectives, yeah, we got Spearmen parking right here. Halberds right here on the outside. Only peasant mobs defending it, so that one could be taken a little bit easier here. In the meantime, the battle does continue to rage on, and the Grail Knights are just giga-chatting it, holding tooth and nail against, if you look at the value, Grail Knights cost what, like 1,1800 or something? Like the combined value of this Ogre blob is probably like 6,000 gold, if not more. Somewhere in that ballpark. And they're holding all that back, which is super epic. You gotta love the Bretonnian hero units. More Cav on the far side. Knights Errant coming in. Questing Knights going to be coming in to also stuff up this objective. Obviously, if we had infinite time, if this was like a land battle scenario, the Ogres could definitely come back and win. But, that's the push and pull of domination mode, right? Like, the Bretonnians are sacrificing value to hold the objectives. And the Ogre Kingdoms may have done something similar in the beginning. It's just part of the system, right? Grail Knight's going to be moving back in, charging into the Hunter here. One objective's going to be taken, but it's basically physically impossible for the Ogres to get enough momentum across the battlefield. With the double cap, you only have, we're going to be approaching 1,400 points here, which means that the Ogres only have like 50 seconds left to get back in the game. And there's pretty healthy Bretonnian Halberds over here. We do see some Noblars in the middle, trying to steal this objective. Little sneaky gets. They are expendable. They only have 2 capture weights, so they're not going to be super excellent at that. And yeah, Bretonnia just kind of keeping the fight honest here. Halberds and Grail Relique in the fight. We do see the Meat Feast going down, one of the most busted abilities in the game. Knights of the Realm going to be coming around the side, maybe looking to engage, but that is going to be a victory for the lady and for the Duke of Bretonnia. He is the martyr of his people. He went down like a champ. Yeah, cool build. Just a lot of good micro with the SEs, keeping Alberic alive despite him being focus fired. But obviously the big game-winning play was when the Knights of the Realm got into the cookie jar and were able to really butter that bread. So that is going to be it. And I love the build from Anticity. Super fun. Like, not using a lot of the old traditional broken stuff, kind of innovating. That's what makes him really fun to watch as a player. And if you guys haven't seen him, make sure to check out his channel. He's a great guy. All right, lads, that's going to be it for today. We'll see you around. Take care of yourselves. And yeah, adios. Do widzenia.